Self-expression. When we think about self-expression from the traditional sense, a lot of times we refer to communication, your ability to articulate in a way that is unique, distinctive, valuable, and is well received by those that you are communicating with. There are many forms of expression. We have expression in dance, art, theater, sciences. Our ability to create is something that we have that is higher than any other species on this planet. The source of all creation is found in our imagination. Imagination creates reality, and imagination creates reality through our beliefs. Our beliefs make up our self-image, or our identity. This self-image can be evolved to allow for greater creative expression. And the more we evolve our beliefs about ourselves to the degree of higher levels of empowerment, the easier and the more natural we are able to express from our imagination to bring forth what we desire into reality. Self-expression is creative expression through your choice of creative outlet. I focus a lot about entrepreneurship on this channel and success, bringing forth what you desire from the place of personal development, growth, in just about any area of your life, primarily through entrepreneurship. And the reason why I choose to discuss more so from the perspective of an entrepreneur is because that's where I believe I express the clearest and the most concise, and from a place where I really enjoy and love what I do. I'm a huge fan of the ikigai, the Japanese form of looking at reality from the perspective of doing what you love to do, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can get paid for. And this makes up the entrepreneur. If an entrepreneur operates from this perspective, then what they'll find is that they will be able to understand through self-awareness self-restricting elements in their belief systems that stifle self-expression. Self-expression is expression received from infinite intelligence. In my last video, I talked about infinite creative intelligence. If you're looking to bring forth something that is going to serve others, whether it be entrepreneurship or any kind of service to others, then what we really want to do is work with the powers of our mind. We have evolved so much as a species. Hundreds of years ago, we do a lot of things with our hands. We work to create self-expression through physical force. And as a result of this, we were able to bring forth a lot of technology breakthroughs in the industrial world. And after we evolved from this, we moved into the information age. And now, when you look around, there's an abundant, infinite supply of information on just about any subject that you want to learn. And as a result of taking this information, you can turn it into a business, you can solve problems, you can evolve your programming within via your subconscious mind, you can understand different aspects of reality to a higher and higher degree, rising yourself up to a greater ability to work with your synthetic imagination and your creative imagination. Synthetic imagination being working with 5 sensory data-based elements and combining them together to create what you desire, and creative intelligence working with the power of infinite intelligence, bringing forth elements that have not been existed at any point in history into reality to revolutionize how reality operates. When we look at what technology has allowed us to do, we realize that technology, when we look at services like Airbnb, Uber, or any kind of technology that has really revolutionized our life, it's really a combination of a bunch of different technologies utilized at the right place at the right time as the need arises to evolve a way of thinking of how we go about serving others to bring more value and give the benefit over to the consumer while evolving the way we go about doing business from the perspective of real power versus force. We're moving into a reality now where more and more of us are understanding the power of our imagination. This is why Neville's information has become a lot more apparent nowadays than ever before. In the world that we used to live in, we used a lot of physical and emotional force to get what we want. Now we work with the powers of mind. We evolve ourselves to a degree of confidence and faith in our imagination. We impress the subconscious mind with our imagination, and the creative expression that flows from it materializes as the outcome that we desire. Through the bridge of incidents, as an entrepreneur, you leverage the different information, technologies, assets, resources available, if needed, to bring forth what you desire. And then when we reflect upon what is created, we may give credit to the bridge of incidents, but we're realizing more and more so that it's not the bridge of incidents that creates it. It's the impressing of the subconscious mind through our imagination and the faith that it will be brought forth. And to cultivate this faith, to elevate our thinking regarding faith towards our desired outcome, we have to take inventory of our limiting beliefs that show up through self-awareness, which we're going to discuss. And as a result of changing the beliefs around, we're going to notice that our environments change, our behaviors change, our thoughts and our emotions evolve to the perspective of faith and confidence in expression from within and resulting in the creating of the outcome that we desire with specificity. Napoleon Hill says, the 13th principle, based on Think and Grow Rich, is known as the sixth sense, through which infinite intelligence may and will communicate voluntarily without any effort from or demands by the individual. He says, this principle is the apex of the philosophy, and it can be assimilated, understood, and applied only by first mastering the other 12 principles. What I've realized in this journey is that flow is the place that we want to be navigating reality from. Flow is where challenge meets skill. Flow is where we have faith and confidence that we will bring forth what we desire, and whatever is revealed to us along the journey is opportunity to evolve the programming within so we can navigate reality by doing the things we know we have to do from a place of flow. It is while we are in flow where we are able to tap into creative intelligence called infinite intelligence. Now, in my last video, I talked about this. I said infinite creative intelligence. And what I was referring to is actually being able to, every now and then, slip into a state akin to sleep, theta level of brainwave, in which infinite intelligence communicates with you and gives you the idea, the hunch, the inspiration, to allow you to overcome the obstacle that shows up, if it shows up, along the way towards creating what you desire. When you're in flow, you're in a certain state of mind where the conscious mind, the subconscious mind work in harmony together. You're not overly conscious, and you're realizing that whatever is brought forth is a manifestation of what's in the subconscious mind. And through self-awareness, you're able to evolve the programming within, change your thoughts about what has been manifested, and as a result of changing your thoughts, reality changes to reflect what is in your thought. It is changed through your behaviors, your emotions, or the environment that is expressed. And through synchronicity or even obvious connecting the dots of logic and reason, you're able to bring forth what you desire. Now, when he says the sixth sense, he's talking about your ability to tap into infinite intelligence to bring forth the ideas. This is a form of self-expression. Self-expression is authentic expression. And what is authentic to you? See, we have our current self and we have a higher self. We are constantly evolving our current self to be more in alignment with our higher self. Our current self is formed by past experiences that we have accumulated over our lifetime. People, environment, circumstance, and information provide us data via the five senses, this information impresses the subconscious mind, and we assume that that's the only way reality works, by what we receive via our five senses. Now, when we ask the question, who are we, at a certain point in our life, we might assume that the identity that we have formed is who we are. I am this, and I am that, and this is how I am, physical, mental, emotional. When we evolve past the identification, whatever we put after I am, we realize that we are the I before the I am. And this am, whatever we put after that, makes up our identity. And this identity, which is our self-image, governs our reality. We create from this perspective. So if we create from this perspective, then are we limited by the perspective that we assume to be ourselves to create what we desire? Well, this may or may not be true. One of my favorite models for navigating reality is the Robert Dilts logical levels of change. We've got our vision, identity, values and beliefs, capabilities, behaviors, and environment. Identity is your self-image. Vision is your imagination, or what you desire to create. When the identity is in alignment with the vision, values and beliefs, capabilities, and behaviors and environments flow to create what we desire. So thus, we want to evolve our identity within. Now, this relates to self-expression because self-expression is vision expression or imagination expression. And it is throttled or facilitated or encouraged by our self-image. In Maxwell Maltz's book, Psycho-Cybernetics, which I did a discussion on, I recommend you watch it, I'll put a link in the description, he talks about the concept of servo mechanism. And we are governed by this mechanism that creates reality from the perspective, otherwise known as the paradigm. Now, once we realize that this is a construct, an identity that exists in the mind, we can then ask ourselves, who do we need to assimilate in order to be in alignment with bringing forth what we desire, which is our vision, our imagination? And that is found in the higher self. I believe that our definite chief aim, what we desire to create, is helping us evolve the programming within of the current self-image and bringing it more into alignment with the higher self. Anytime you have a goal and you aim to bring forth the goal, it's not just the bringing forth of the goal, it's who you become on the journey that contributes towards a higher degree of self-expression. When I reflect back on my journey, I realize that more so than ever before, I'm able to express myself in a clear and concise way, in a way that feels authentic for me and is received by others as authenticity. That's because what is being expressed through me is my higher self. And this higher self has been brought forth as a result of repetitive bringing forth what I desire, setting goals, and committing to bringing forth these goals as I evolve the programming within. One of my favorite books is Principles by Ray Dalio. If you look at this book, it's a principle book on how Ray Dalio lives. All of these principles are true to him. They may not be true to you, but they are true to him. And this principle book is what he chooses to live by. Through experience, he has uncovered his higher self, and these higher self elements are represented by principles. Now, these are probably wired into him, and they're so true to him that he doesn't really have to think about them. But by placing them in a book, he can share it with others so that others can then be inspired by this to realize their own form of principles within. When we identify our principles for life, we facilitate a greater degree of self-expression. When we express ourselves, what we're really expressing is our being through our principles. And as a result of doing this, we experience flow. When we're in flow, we're more likely to slip into state akin to sleep throughout the day. And even at the end of the night, when we work on our imagination through revisional acts or impressing our subconscious mind, it's easier to get into state akin to sleep. And it is in state akin to sleep where infinite intelligence shows up to give us the hunches, inspirations, the ideas, to not only help us realize our higher self, but express ourselves in a way to create what we desire that is from the perspective of our own unique higher self image. And through this process, we identify with the higher self. The higher self becomes our identity. And as a result of a higher self becoming our identity, our values and beliefs, capabilities, behaviors, and environments change. Always remember this: infinite intelligence within expresses through you. Infinite intelligence is looking to express through you. When you realize that infinite intelligence is accessible to you from within, you become more self-reliant. Self-confidence goes to a higher level. Self-esteem goes to a higher level. And you become your own best friend. You learn to trust, rely, and appreciate yourself. You no longer look for approval and validation in the outer world because you understand that the outer world is a reflection of your inner world, and you evolve the programming within to connect with and express from your higher self. And then those around you, or people that receive your information, or whatever form of creative outlet that you choose, will admire your ability to express yourself clearly, fully, in a way that they receive as value. And this can be very deep and valuable for an entrepreneur, because as an entrepreneur, what we're doing is we are expressing our ideas onto reality. And to the degree that we are self-persuaded on the authentic belief and expression of our ideas, they will receive it accordingly. Why? Because everyone is you pushed out. The outer world is a reflection of the inner world. The desire for creative expression is infinite intelligence showing up involuntarily. Now, when he said voluntarily, we have to remember that all is one, all is mine. And I say involuntarily because it's really one with infinite intelligence. You are one with infinite intelligence. And to the degree that you embrace this oneness, which, by the way, he brought it up and said, the principle is the apex of the philosophy, can only be assimilated and understood and applied only by first mastering the other 12 principles. Then you realize your oneness. See, what we do in our mind is we separate things. We like to create categories, and that's fine. We create these categories so we can put them back together. It's the realization that all are individual expressions of the same mind, and all are parts that make up the whole, which is understood through the journey. It's not something that we want to rush. It's something that we want to understand. This is why I really value the journey as much as the destination. I value the journey as much as the destination because that's what keeps me in flow. And by being in flow, I can express through my own creative outlets, through entrepreneurship, to create what I desire, to be of service, to create products and services that are needed and useful, that benefit others through quality of service, quantity of service, and spirit of service, doing what I love to do, what I'm good at, what the world needs, what I can get paid for, in a way that is one of joy, bliss, and ease. Because whatever shows up along the way, I'm able to slip, a lot of times involuntarily, so it seems, into a state akin to sleep, to receive the creative inspiration, hunch, idea, flash of inspiration from infinite intelligence, which I am connected with, and you are connected with. The golden opportunity you are seeking is in yourself. It is not in your environment. It is not in luck or chance or the help of others. It is in yourself alone. Orison Marden. Now, think about this for a moment. Reflect upon it. I believe it's fine to look to the outer world in earlier stages of your development for the answers. As I have been doing, it has been really beneficial because what I did was bring myself back to this idea that all the answers are within, through the information that I've been studying and applying and my own reference experiences. So that's what he's talking about here. So it's not to say that you'll, right from the beginning, because we go through life and we rely on our teachers, our mentors, our books, courses, to help us navigate reality. But there comes a point where we go in and ask the question, who are we? And that's when we uncover information about the identity and evolving the identity. And then the evolving the identity within holds the key for creating what we desire, our imagination. We get a hunch or inspiration in our imagination of a desire that we want to bring forth, and then we align ourselves within so that our behaviors, our thoughts, our actions, our emotions, and other ways that we don't even know how it work together in combination to bring forth what we desire. And as he said, the golden opportunity you are seeking is in yourself. Okay? The opportunity of what you want to create is within yourself. It's your desire. It's unique to you. And it is through your self-expression that it will be brought forth. How do you know you are practicing self-expression? And how do you know that you are authentically expressing? Well, upon reflection upon this discussion, we go into a conversation about self-awareness. See, what we're really looking for is reactive energy when we feel reactive to the outer world as we navigate reality. One of the greatest tools that I found in my life when it comes to personal development and creating success is observing any kind of tension that I feel as I go about my day. My goal is to be in flow. When I'm in flow, I don't have tension. But whatever shows up that causes me to be reactive, or so it seems that the outer world is causing it, really the cause is within. Whatever I experience reactivity, I pause for a moment, reflect, write it down as a revelation of something that could potentially break my flow in the future. Or maybe it does break my flow. So this is what I'm interested in. What is causing me to react to something in the outer world? 5 sensory data. What is that reactivity cause so it appears in the outer world but is really within, but is experienced? And a lot of times when we get reactive, we think it's the outer world. That's the trick right there. If you get reactive, we go into it's the outer world, it's the person, it's the circumstance, it's the information. Presence of mind allows us to pause in that moment, and you get better at it with practice, to reflect back within and ask ourselves, what can we change as far as the thoughts within that will express self-expression as the right words, the right emotions, the right behaviors that will allow us to evolve past identifying with this reactivity and go back into the ability to work with our imagination, being in flow, and impressing our subconscious mind, perhaps in a state akin to sleep, or having the idea received via our imagination from infinite intelligence as a result of being in flow, potentially slipping in a state akin to sleep through the journey, or not even through our synthetic imagination or creative imagination, to overcome, to understand what is happening in front of us so we can mindfully respond in a way that moves us forward towards what we desire to create. Self-awareness detects potential identification with fear. See, fear causes us to become reactive. Fear is within, it's not in the outer world. We might receive information that we assimilated throughout our years that causes us to experience fear in the identity or subconscious level that expresses itself via the subconscious and materializes as some fearful situation in the outer world. Upon reflection of this fearful situation, we have to remember, do we identify with it? Do we further affirm with it? And identifying with fear is an affirmation in itself. You're affirming the fear. We can pause for a moment, we can reflect and realize that this was based on a past manifestation or a past assimilation of information that created this fear within, and we no longer have to fear it. And it doesn't have to mean that right away you get over the fear. what you'll notice is that if you reflect to self-awareness and you change the programming within your subconscious via imaginal acts, subconscious mind audios, conversations with yourself, seeking guidance from others in areas where maybe you find to be extremely challenging. As mentioned earlier, in earlier stages of my journey, I seeked counsel in others, and that's okay. And as you evolve in this area, you'll be able to rely on yourself even more. You'll be able to get the answers within by working with infinite intelligence. But whatever you do, you evolve the programming within and you feel less reactive to that same circumstance or person or situation that shows up in the outer world. And you're able to respond a lot more mindfully. The practice of self-awareness allows for greater self-expression. So if the goal is to increase your ability to authentically express, which contributes in bringing forth what you desire, then one of our steps on the bridge of incidence is the realization of self-awareness. What shows up for you when you're interacting with people, environment, circumstance, and information? How can you change the meaning within so that you can respond rather than react? Every time you react to something, you're moving in a different direction. Your energy flows where your attention goes. So if something causes you to be reactive, again, the cause is within, but you might assume in that moment that the cause is in the outer world, then your attention goes in that direction and you begin identifying with it. And then you begin to drift in that direction and end up wasting a lot of time, energy, resources. And upon reflection afterwards, no need to shame yourself if you went down the direction. Understand that this is a process of self-realization and self-expression. It's a journey. That's why I value the journey and the destination. Upon reflection at the end, you can find the cause within and evolve it. If you don't find the cause within, then potentially that can play out again, and again. One of the things that helps with self-awareness is the practice of the golden rule, which is essentially do unto others as you would have done unto you, or have them done to you. This is something that I talked about in a previous couple videos where I talk about specifically the golden rule. I recommend you watch it, get deeper into discussion into it. One of the reasons why we want to affirm the golden rule in our subconscious mind is because this will allow us to navigate reality more from a place of flow, not from a place of fear. And anytime you interact with a person or involve yourself with anything, because you operate from the golden rule, you are tapping into the rule of infinite intelligence. The world is set up to create and bring forth higher and higher states of consciousness. Consciousness is going up. It keeps increasing. And to the degree that we follow the golden rule, the degree will be realized within through consciousness and awareness rising. In other words, that saying, with great power comes great responsibility. Well, if you get access to the power, then you have the ability to use the power towards the benefit of you, others, and divine and evolution. So you get access to the power by working with the golden rule. By creating success, by bringing forth what you desire, you also become a source and inspiration for others, a teacher, someone that's able to help others bring forth what they desire. And through the process of evolving yourself by bringing forth what you desire, you release limiting beliefs and negative programming that from a place of scarcity and fear, which, by the way, fear and scarcity only exist in the five sensory world. It is not in the sixth sense. The sixth sense is infinite intelligence. Infinite intelligence does not operate from a place of scarcity because it's infinite in nature. It does not need to take away from others or diminish others in order to receive. It is done from the perspective, it operates from the perspective of spirit of harmony, benefit for you, benefit for others, and benefit for divine or evolution. Fear of criticism is transmuted by reflecting upon the golden rule. So one of the things that we might experience as a limiting factor of self-expression is the fear of criticism. We're afraid that others are not going to receive what we express in a way that can benefit them in a way that is intended to be received the way we intend for them to receive it, which ideally is from the golden rule, do unto others as you wish them do unto you. If for some reason it's not received that way, or it appears that it's not received that way, and we experience the outer world as rejecting us, and it causes us to have fear of rejection, we must remember that that's a meaning that we're giving to that particular situation. When you evolve in the programming within regarding criticism, you realize that everything is optimization data, and you no longer have that experience where you feel less than and that you need to stifle your expression based on something that is received by what somebody else says. Everything is optimization data. Self-expression flows congruently from a being of quality, quantity, and spirit of service to others. So again, fear of criticism does not have to be there when you operate from a place of golden rule and realize that your expression, creative expression, is to multiply the quality, quantity, and spirit of your service to others. In other words, trust yourself, accept yourself, realize that what you want to express from a place of higher self is going to be received to the degree that you are self-persuaded that it will be received this way. And this is very important. I share this with a lot of individuals who are in sales. A lot of times they feel that people won't receive them, or they have fear of criticism or fear of rejection. And I ask the question, I say, do you believe in the product or service that you're selling? Do you believe it's valuable? And they say yes. And I say, if you believe it's valuable, do you believe that others should receive it and pay you fairly for it? They say yes. So even though they might consciously say that, there is some subconscious programming that is misaligned in their identity that, if aligned, they will be motivated and they'll have a burning desire to share the product or service with others. They'll be actively involved in marketing, actively involved in selling, because then they're really focusing on the golden rule. Do unto others as you wish them do unto you, because if you have something to sell somebody and it benefits them and you're asking for money or whatever form of equivalent in return, then it's a benefit for you and benefit for them. It's a fair exchange. And if somebody had something to offer you that would benefit you, you would want them to offer that to you. You receive it, you welcome it. And if it's not for you, then it's not for you. If it's not for the other person, then they'll tell you it's not for them, and you don't need to force or apply anything from a place of lower state of consciousness to try to get your way. When you operate from a higher degree of consciousness, by evolving the programming within, what you'll find is that you will have more prospects and people in front of you that are ready to receive what you have to offer, and the interaction will be one of fair, mutual exchange conversation. There won't be any communication-based force. It'll be an authentic form of self-expression from you and them. Neville says to reach a higher level of being, you must assume a higher concept of yourself. Okay, so when you assume this higher concept of yourself, when you evolve the programming within to be more in alignment with a higher degree of thought related to the golden rule, allowing yourself to express, then what you'll notice is that your expression will be received in a way that is congruent to how it's expressed within. To help us with this, let's reflect again upon the Robert Dilts model. Okay, we're talking about achieving a higher self, higher level of being. Watch the video I did on higher self. I'll put a link in the description. Our goal is to evolve the identity that we have within that has been assimilated based on past programming that has been impressed in our subconscious mind from past experiences that limit us, that disempower us, that cause us to have a scarcity view of ourselves and others. We do this by identifying through self-awareness what shows up for us and evolving the programming within. Again, great tools that I use, which are really the only ones that I need to use that have worked and always work for me, is pruning shears of revision, subconscious mind audios, and timeline regression, as well as self-talk. These are the 4 tools that I use universally that help me evolve the programming within. So you got a vision, your definite chief aim, what you desire to create, and then we evolve the identity to a higher level of thought to bring it into alignment. And this is revealed to us by our values and beliefs, how we believe about ourselves, how we believe about others, what we say when we talk to ourselves, what we say when we talk to others, what we say when we talk about people, environment, circumstance, information. All of this represent clues of what's in our identity, because the identity is being manifest. So what is being expressed in the outer world by the subconscious mind is to be reflected upon and understood and evolved to be in alignment with the identity that we choose. And as a result, we choose certain capabilities, our behaviors are according to be in alignment with our identity. And I discussed this in the Unwavering Focus video. As an entrepreneur, there's a number of behaviors, number of capabilities you want to cultivate. But we want to do this from a place of alignment, not from a place of force. As discussed when I talked about selling, those that are early in this journey are afraid of selling. They have some programming surrounding money and selling that they need to evolve within so that the behaviors are an automatic and authentic self-expression of being in service to others, quality, quantity, and spirit of service through marketing and innovation, and an earnest desire to have others receive the benefit of the product or service that they've created, knowing that it is going to enhance their life. And as a result of it, they are passionate about making the offer, passionate about evolving their marketing, passionate about doing the things that they know they have to do every day to create success in their life and bring value to those that they serve. Now, then the environment changes. We also choose environments that are a lot more harmonious to us. We choose people, environment, and circumstance that bring out the best in us. This comes from a place of acceptance and understanding, rather than a place of self-limitation. That stated, self-limitation. Let's talk about self-restriction. So when we reflect upon what has been discussed right now, our goal is to express ourselves in a way that is authentic to us, that is a reflection of our higher self, that is realized on the journey of self-awareness and changing the programming within so that we can bring ourselves more in alignment to allow ourselves to express in our own unique creative form of expression, whether it be communication expression or expression in arts, music, sciences, whatever it is, authentic creative expression from a place of flow. What prevents this is self-restriction. Okay, this idea that the outer world is restricting us, we need to let go of that. The programming within is materialized as the outer world restricting us. We have to change the programming within. We do this through self-awareness. So then self-restriction is the opposite of self-expression. As mentioned earlier, you know when you're restricting yourself when you're becoming reactive. Now this is at an obvious level. You can feel the tension within you, or even at a subtle level. And we're all on this journey, so we're continuously evolving. You get better and better at evolving yourself to a higher degree of self-expression upon reflection, self-awareness, and practice, and evolving the programming within. You're able to catch nuance-based restriction in your body language, in your voice tonality, in your being, in your communication. And going back to the experience when it comes to sales, this is one of the best places, and public speaking as well, to observe where you are restricting yourself and understand what that means. You're not shaming yourself because you restrict yourself, but understanding yourself. Understanding what does that restriction mean. And upon reflection, you'll identify that it came from some past belief that you have, past programming that you learned from the outer world. And perhaps an environment that you're in is continuously facilitating that. We'll talk about that in a moment. But whatever it is that's causing us to be restrictive on the flow, the authentic expression flow, we have to identify it and evolve as far as programming within change our environment around if needed, change our behaviors around, so then we place ourselves into a state that is a lot more in alignment with authentic self-expression. So self-restriction is what we're looking for. Where are we restricting ourselves, physically, mentally, emotionally? This is revealed as we navigate reality on our journey day to day. Thoughts of harmony that relate to purpose expresses itself as behaviors. This is very important. Our behaviors, our body language, our voice tonality, how we are in front of another person in a circumstance, in an environment, reveals the level of self-restriction. Are we operating from a place of abundance or scarcity? Do we have a us versus them mentality or a spirit of harmony mentality? What you'll realize is that as you rise up in success in entrepreneurship, you'll be able to handle situations that used to cause you to become very reactive before. Remember, we mentioned the reactivity is really within. But the circumstance or the person used to be experienced as reactivity. Instead, now, through the evolution of self and the experience, and that's why he talked about implementing the other principles in Think and Grow Rich, you become more responsive, mindfully, from a spirit of harmony and a golden rule perspective. Knowing that you are one with infinite intelligence allows creative expression without self-restriction. The idea is that we think we're doing this all by ourselves. The little old us is this little person on some island. You are not. You are connected with all beings. You are connected with infinite intelligence, what created you, and will give you the ideas, the hunches, the inspirations, and the methods, the hows within you to show you how to overcome any obstacle that is presented in front of you. You have to first believe it's possible. And number two, you have to tune into your own inner voice. And this inner voice represents the sixth sense. And we already mentioned, one of the reasons why we practice the other principles in Think and Grow Rich is because what it does is help us focus our mind. Physical, emotional elements show up in the outer world, or we experience reality from a certain perspective, where our attention goes in a different direction. Otherwise, we call it drifting or being distracted. Through the process of seeing things all the way till completion, or seeing success creating success, we gain power of our mind, our ability to focus, not from a place of force, from a place of unwavering focus. When you have unwavering focus, you are in flow from morning till night. You enjoy what you do. You don't want your attention going in a direction that is not in harmony with what you desire to create. And not forcefully trying to get your attention back. Your attention cannot be taken away. You smoothly direct it back, if it does, to what is related to your vision. Now, this is a process you get better at with practice and observation, self-awareness. Observe. What is taking your attention away? What are you being reactive by? And where is the cause within? Again, reflect back on that video that I discussed unwavering focus on to understand this deeper. Words have meaning, yet intent and sincerity shines through the words to convey a deeper meaning. The reason why I put this in here is when it comes to communication expression, a lot of us invest far too much of our time looking for the proper way of articulating. The idea is to remember that people, as far as consciousness, especially those that are the ones that you want to deal with, will understand you beyond the words. Okay, they will be able to read your intent and sincerity behind them. So thus, I would focus more on intent and sincerity. And intent and sincerity is really congruence, using the Robert Dilts model. Being true to your vision, evolving your identity to be more in alignment with the vision. And as you do this, the intent and sincerity is expressed through you, through your words, might not necessarily be the word, but through the word, through the body language, through your voice tonality, and your being as you're in front of a person. This translates really well in sales because I've seen this many times. Those that weren't able to articulate themselves in the smoothest way but have an authenticity behind what they're offering get the sale. And those that have a slick way of putting words together don't get the sale because they're not really believing and they don't have the sincerity behind the product or service that they're selling. And the other person can feel it. Now, as consciousness goes up, we always have to remember that people are developing a higher degree of intuitive connection to infinite intelligence. So integrity and sincerity is even more important today than ever before. People can detect a lie like you wouldn't believe. So it's important then to evolve yourself to a higher degree of self-expression, which is authentic expression, authentic creative expression from a place of congruence, physical, mental, emotional. And because we're on a journey of releasing a lot of scarcity programming, if it's not expressed in the smoothest way, that's okay. You'll continue to get better through self-awareness. One of the tools to help you with this, it's one of my favorite that has helped me so much in my life when it comes to evolving my self-expression. The ego identification of who is right results in forgetting the what is right information from being expressed. When we operate from a place of scarcity and feeling threatened by people, environment, circumstance, we go into a who is right mentality. And as a result, we stifle the authentic expression, the authentic self-expression. And what we express is some distorted view of reality, which is then externalized as the reflection of that. By always looking at what we do every day and making a commitment to ourselves, that we're going to focus on what is right, we allow to a higher degree our authentic self to express. And as a result of that, we keep the ego in check. Anytime you overly identify with the ego, you're going to move in a direction where the ego is going to be taken down. And that's going to be very devastating for some of us, because if we've identified with this ego for most of our life and it gets shattered, it can be very disorienting when we release it from the identity. So it's important then to keep the ego in check. By keeping the ego in check, infinite intelligence is allowed to express through you. And your expression will be of service to others, benefit of others. And you will get praise, but it's important to reflect back on the praise and realize that the praise is really because you are serving them. And what they're saying is bring more service. Self-acceptance increases authentic self-expression. By keeping the ego in check, and the ego is revealed through reactivity and identifying if we are creating the meaning of who is right rather than what is right. And by keeping the ego in check and evolving the programming within, self-acceptance increases. Now, when our self-acceptance increases, we'll notice that we are picking certain environments to be in, certain people to be around, certain information that we surround ourselves with, knowing that all this stuff has an impression on our subconscious mind, and our subconscious mind expresses. As a result of self-acceptance, we listen to ourselves, we trust ourselves. We do what Steve Jobs had said, don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And in the process, we overcome fear of criticism. Fear of criticism. Doubt and hesitation of self-expression is to be reflected upon. Always remember this. Whenever you experience any kind of hesitation or doubt surrounding self-expression, ask yourself, what is the real meaning here? Okay, knowing that this doubt and hesitation is some programming that you have in your subconscious mind that you've assimilated with, that you have associated with, that you have identified with, and it can be released. You can change it using any one of the modalities that I mentioned to the point where you realize that self-expression is a natural way of being. That's the authentic way of being, and it is through self-expression, authentic self-expression, where you experience more joy, bliss, and flow as you move forward to create what you desire. Fear of self-expression is experienced as imaginal acts of deception to self, which can result as a self-fulfilling prophecy and drawing upon others into the theater of mind and reality. Whenever we have a fear of self-expression, we create imaginal acts in our mind that we don't consciously want there, and those imaginal acts will impress in the subconscious mind, especially if done in a state akin to sleep, and externalize accordingly. So we want to be aware of this. Fear within creates reactivity to move attention into a direction away from self-expression or authentic self-expression, as we discussed. And fear prevents the higher self from being received from infinite intelligence to evolve current self-image to higher self and express authentic self. And always remember what was discussed in Think and Grow Rich, one of my favorite quotes. He says, "The sixth sense will never function with these three negatives or any of them when they remain in the mind. The members of this unholy trio are closely related. Where one is found, the other two are close at hand." And he was referring to fears, doubts, and indecision. He says, indecision is the seedling of fear. Remember this as you read. Indecision crystallizes into doubt. The two blend and become fear. The blending process is often slow. This is one reason why these three enemies are so dangerous. They germinate and grow without their presence being observed. Indecision is a seed that plants itself in your mind and externalizes accordingly. It's important to uproot the seed of indecision. On this journey, as we acquire information, as we learn, as we grow, we might be faced with indecision. It's important to come up with our own tools so that we can overcome the indecision before it crystallizes into fear. One of my favorite tools is to just ask my inner voice and act on whatever shows up. Another favorite tool is to seek counsel, to ask somebody in your mastermind, or to bring on a mentor to help you along the journey, or a consultant. The reason why we seek counsel from those that we trust is because they were able to create the success that we desire. And they're able to reveal to us some of the similarities that we are going to experience or we're currently experiencing from a perspective, from a solution-based perspective that we might not know. Environment, very important. An environment which contributes to authentic self-expression facilitates it. Okay, whatever environment that you're in, understand that all the information in your environment is externalized from subconscious mind programming, yes, and is further impressing your subconscious mind. And they may be from your past. Maybe the environment right now is a manifestation from your past, but you don't have to identify with it. Be aware of any environment, and you'll notice when you start to feel stifled, fearful, uncomfortable in an environment, it's important to reflect back on the meaning within as to why you feel that. And if the environment is not contributing and allowing you to express yourself authentically, you might want to reflect upon the environments that you choose. Receive within and express versus impress from without and re-express. Always remember this. In your imagination, there is your ideal environment, your Garden of Eden, your heaven on earth, imagination-based vision of what you want to create. When you impress that on the subconscious mind, it is in the process of being externalized in reality. And if five sensory data denies it from the outer world, it's important to honor the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the ideal state that you want to create, and make your decisions accordingly, because you are either being impressed by five sensory data from the outer world, that's going into your subconscious mind and externalizing, or the sixth sense, which is your imagination, and that is being expressing, which to me is authentic self-expression, or a combination of both. And this also represents the creative imagination and the synthetic imagination. You can take in the opinions of others, you can value it, or you can choose not to associate with some of the opinions of others that maybe cause you to feel more self-restriction, that deny the self-expression. The power is within you, and you have the ability to choose. And you have the power to evolve the programming within and have it externalize in a way that you refer to as and is received by others as authentic self-expression. If you want a copy of this mind map, the link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.